My God, men. Do you know what this means? This skitter's gonna be turned upside down, I tell you, upside down. If you get on his bad side, brother, you're done for. Now, it's only a matter of time before he finds out, and when he does, no matter where he is, get ready, gentlemen, because hell's a-coming. Hell's a-coming. Hell's a-coming. Hell's a-coming. Hell's a-coming.
In a world where podcasting is king, you are listening to Gundam at MAHQ.
Who shot you in the ass?
Who? That who would be you.
Me? I shot you?
Yeah.
I mean, I was shooting. I did a lot of shooting. I mean, but I ain't saying I shot you in the ass. I mean, I ain't saying I didn't shoot you. But damn! Somebody shot you in the ass.
Tell me about it.
All right, welcome back, everybody, to Gundam and MAHQ. This is one of your hosts, Neo, and joining me always is the Soul Bro and the Chris. Guys, say hello.
Sagruna Tima, everybody.
Chris,
Yamos.
how you doing?
No, yes. Yes.
Well, you know,
Hell yeah.
I'm not in
Shit,
zone like you, so I guess I'm doing fine.
Oh, you're right, man.
Oh,
You're
yeah.
doing the almost, man. Good shit.
Yeah, I
I'm in
hope
a foreign occupied zone. So.
Yes.
yeah,
How's it
Yeah,
like eating all the burritos for breakfast, lunch, and dinner?
it's delicious. If this is
And
oppression,
having
I
Idiot
endorse
tacos.
it. I know, I endorse it. Oh no, they're gonna make me eat empanadas and burritos, carne asada.
Have all the chicken tacos you want, man.
Oh no,
Some
we're gonna
also
be
BS for dessert.
no more mac and cheese or freedom fries for us. It's just gonna be burritos, tacos, and enchiladas. Oh, okay, I
That's
approve. That's okay.
Do you want a taco truck on every corner?
What do you want? A taco truck on every corner? Yeah.
Yes,
Yes.
please.
You know, to me, a taco truck is like the best thing. It's the greatest thing. I mean, you guys know, inside the NBA, and it's moving off of TNT. It's got Charles Barkley and them on it.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't know if you ever watched it, but Charles Barkley always talks about the street meat, the street meat. You know, the street meat in New York City is like, it doesn't matter what that street meat is. Like, he's like, I don't care. I don't know if it's cow, chicken, goat, rabbit, dog, cat. He goes, it's the best. I don't care. And just put that white sauce on it. It's even better.
Yes.
Because the street meat is amazing.
Speaking of tacos, I once saw Trevor Noah doing a stand-up set down here, and he went into this whole bit about tacos that I'm not going to get into. But at the end of it, as an aside, he made this comment that is very insightful, saying that Americans sure love tacos, but they do not love the bringers of tacos.
You right?
Oh, this is true. Yeah,
It's true.
that is true. Yeah.
It's like,
I mean,
yes, that is America in a nutshell.
yeah, they don't like illegals, but they don't want to pay full price for a guy to do their yard. That's what they go to Home Depot.
We won't give you citizenship, but give us that Cholula sauce.
Yo,
Exactly.
Shout out to Yazzie. He says the same thing with shawarmas.
Oh,
Yeah.
man. Oh,
Very
man.
much, yes.
Man, Yazzie, there is a place right down from one of the sites I work on that's got the greatest shawarma. It's such a hole-in-wall place. I mean, it's so great. But, you know, when I was in the Middle East for almost a year, the thing I loved, they had this place in Kuwait called Shawarma-matic. And Shawarma-matic was the greatest thing because you would just get the shawarma roll. You could get combo chicken or beef. And it was like 3 KD, but it was so, which is like about, that's what, about $10 American. And it's like, it was so good. It was so good and so big. You could have it for 2 meals. Like, I'm talking like a solid 2 meals, sometimes 3, or maybe a snack. It was that damn big. Yeah, shawarma. Yeah, man. Sorry. But if they're going to tell me I'm going to have America with a taco truck, a street meat truck, and a shawarma place on every corner, it doesn't sound like too bad of a deal to me.
Right?
I honestly don't feel bad. You know, and then you maybe add a gelato place. It's, you know, come on.
Well, that's international peace right there, man.
It is. Exactly. I think that's what they have to do at the UN when they have these flare-ups between the countries. Just have one of those food truck events, you know.
Instead of gunboat diplomacy, food truck diplomacy.
Food truck diplomacy. Here comes the taco truck. Here's the beef bulgogi truck. Here's the
poke truck.
Here's the poke truck.
Here's the cheese truck.
Here's the Michelada truck. No, it's like, come on. Oh my gosh. But enough of that. Yes. I'm in the war zone, but hopefully I won't get
enough about fascism and media manipulation. We're not here to talk. Wait,
hold on. This is episode 315. We're going to be talking about the second and final season of Andor in the Star Wars universe. So, that was me. I don't know. Did we plan this on purpose? I don't know. We had Andor playing for a very long time. You're not telling me that now Gundam is predicting the future, just like they always say, like movies predict the future.
Oh yeah.
When it comes to technology and stuff, it's like we're not doing this now, are we? But yeah. So yeah, this is what we're going to be talking about. It's going to be our first and only topic of the night. Chris, I mean, are your doors locked and everything? Because you know what happens when we Star Wars. Sometimes you have a weirdo that's kind of shriveled up and you know, he's always trying to instigate things. So hopefully he doesn't
doors are
show
locked,
up.
but the force always finds a way.
Exactly.
Just don't say his name. He's kind of like Candyman.
No, my Mothma did.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh man.
Oh my gosh. But all right. So guys, anything before I go over to the Larry King Memorial News Studio for some Neo's listener submitted news?
No, we got
Chris,
a lot to cover, so nothing from me.
Chris, any quick updates on MHQ or bannings? Any bannings that you did while we were talking? Besides of a particular gentleman with a shriveled face and likes to wear dark flowing robes. So
I did mention a couple episodes ago that I did a podcast recording with our pal Scott.
Yes.
And it came out a couple of weeks ago.
Nice.
So if you want to go check out his podcast, is that some kind of Japanimation thing where we talk about the DBZ driving episode? You can finally go hear it.
Yes. Awesome.
Yeah, MCT Dread said a papusa truck. Yeah, that would be another thing. If that might be the final straw. I may have to just acquiesce at that point. It sounds like harmony to me. But all right, guys. So I'm going. If you ever have any news article, go to the Neo's listener submitted news articles thread in the Gundam section of the Mecha Talk forum. And oh man, first one here comes out of the gate. MCT Dread talks about Bandai's new Gundam museum in Japan.
Let's just note here, all of them tonight are MCT Dread, just to get that out of the way.
You want to just do them all as one? Yeah, because it's basically...
yeah, just saying that they're all. We don't have to mention each time because they're all him.
Yeah, they're all him. Yeah,
No,
every
what
article
MCT
that
Dread?
I will talk to will be MCT Dread. Yes, I encourage somebody else maybe to. I think he needs some competition. I mean, we don't endorse monopolies. We appreciate what he does, but we don't want him being the Microsoft
Or
of
vacation.
news.
Not that we offer benefits.
Yo, he got a kill streak. Nice. Let's go.
Exactly. But yes, Bandai's new Gundam museum in Japan makes you make your own Gundam model kit. Oh, big surprise. If there's a way to sell you Gunpla, some type of way they're going to get idiots to buy it, that's Bandai for you. So, yeah. Bandai is opening a new museum dedicated to its Mobile Suit Gundam plastic model kits on September 2nd, 2025 in Suzuka, Japan. It's not only going to allow visitors to learn everything about Gunpla, but they will be able to watch and being made in the factory. Oh my gosh. Some of the model builders that see, I mean, you're going to have people's heads explode. But they will watch them being made in the factory, even try their hand at designing their very own Gunpla to take home. That's kind of cool. And good news for the non-Japanese speakers. The museum displays and guidance will also be in English. Yay! Yay! So, and then it just says here, Bandai's been making Gundam plastic models or Gunpla since the 1980s. And they're, of course, they're the biggest thing for most of the shows now. especially the ones that don't make a lot of sense. So, but it's going to be called the Bandai Hobby Center Plamo Design Industrial Institute Museum. Wow, that's or the BHCPDII Museum for short. I don't know. Can't you get something better than that? Yeah, they'll enter an interactive laboratory area. They can experience the process of making their own Gunpla. So yeah, it's the staff will do injected molding of the plastic, and the visitors can take home the packing they designed and the runner plate. Oh, that's pretty cool. So, wow. I guess if you're going to Japan and later on this year, you definitely want to take a trip out to there. Next article here. Godzilla Masterpiece is coming back to the U.S. in 4K. Oh, man. Shin Godzilla is looks like it's going to be coming back to theaters in the U.S. in 4K in August. So it's originally released in Japan in 2016. It's from director Hideki Anno. I think I've heard of him before. He's done some things, right? And Shinji Higuchi, who was responsible for Bullet Train Explosion. They were inspired by the 2021 earthquake and tsunami that caused the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant to fail. So I've never seen Shin Godzilla. I've heard it's really crazy and creepy. I've seen like clips of it, and it is pretty disturbing. But I didn't know they say here. I didn't know it was a dark comedy.
Oh wow!
Now's your chance. And it's worth noting that this time the release is by G Kids. They have the license now because originally it was Funimation.
Oh boy!
Oh, okay. Well, they say here it starts as a dark comedy focused mostly on the endless series of meetings to address a mysterious incident in Tokyo Bay that keeps getting worse every time the politicians think they declare victory. As Godzilla makes landfall and evolves from an ungainly lungfish-like beast to the iconic city-destroying kaiju, the country's leaders cut through the red tape and come up with a solution. Yeah, so, and there's going to be a 4D remaster of Shin Godzilla released in North America theaters on August 14th. And yeah, just like Chris said, G Kids, which was purchased by Toho last year. So, yeah, cool. Mm-hmm. That's going to be some cool stuff. But anything on that?
No, it's pretty cool. It's coming out in 4K, so people can re-experience it.
I'm gonna go see it because I've always had it on my watch list to
Yeah, same
get
here.
around to, and I just never did. And well, fuck it, might as well see it in the theater.
And there used to be a lot of clips on it on YouTube, but I think probably since you said the licensing changed, all that stuff got scrubbed off or something. Because I would see there was a couple times I saw some of like the transformations and then like some of the weird stuff that it would do. It's like, oh, this is kind of crazy. But oh, Solbro news alert. Gunsmith Cats Burst Omnibus manga blasts out of from Dark Horse in December. Cool,
Nice.
man. Yep.
Kenichi Sonata, baby. I love that guy.
Yeah.
I love his work.
Gonna be Gunsmith Caps are back in action. Dark Horse Comics, which offers Kenichi Soda's classic action series and omnibus editions, is expanding to cover the sequel series Gunsmith Cats Burst. So, but yeah, it looks like going to be coming. Volume 1 is going to be coming on this December, no specific date, and then Volume 2 will be in March of 2026. So, yeah, it's going to be Volume 1 is 476 pages, Volume 2 is 496 pages, and they'll each be around $29.99. So that's a perfect stocking stuffer for you,
Yeah, man. I love omnibuses, man. My favorite omnibus that I own is Azumanga Daioh. That is such a treat. It's like reading a Peanuts Peanuts compilation book. It's so good. I have to look out for that once I get work. Maybe I'll put that on my list on Amazon and pick it up sometime in the near future.
Definitely. And another one here from MCT Dread. Wow. I mean, you guys like sequels, right? Sometimes they work, right? Sequels of things, of great movies.
Sure.
So it looks like this is from RollingStone.com. It looks like Mel Brooks says that Spaceball 2s is coming to a galaxy very, very, very. So I guess they're teasing a movie, which is going to be hopefully opening in theaters in 2027. So I don't know. What do you guys think of this? I mean, is there really a need for this? Was maybe doing this I don't know, maybe 15, 20 years earlier, made that have worked more?
There's a lot more Star Wars to make fun of now, though.
Yeah, there is.
That's true. That is true.
And Mel Brooks is damn near 100 years old. He's very close. So I mean, granted, he's the perfect age to play Yogurt. So I'm half in, half out, because a lot of these parody movies have not been great. But maybe a nice barometer of that will be the new Naked Gun movie that's coming out soon with Liam Neeson. Maybe the trailer was funny. So maybe with that setting the tone for a new generation of parody movies, this one will be good too. I don't know who they're going to have writing it besides Mel. But it's promising with all the material they can spoof. It's very promising. And Mecha-san in the chat says that Mel Brooks is 98 years old. Damn, that's so, man. And Dick Van Dyke is about to be 99. So no, I think he's 90. I have to look up. I know he's really close to 100. But those two guys, man, they're about to cross over into that old century, man. It's surreal. But I'm cautiously optimistic.
Well, yeah, because it looks like if they release this in 2027, that'll be the 40th anniversary of Spaceballs.
Yeah. And
then probably based on that, Mel Brooks will be about 100. So it'll be a lot of things that you will be doing there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, doesn't say anything here about cast, but I mean, we know who.
They said that Rick Moranis is coming back, and I've seen also that not only is Bill Pullman gonna be back, but his son who's also an actor, is cast in the movie as his son.
Oh shit! Is it the son that played Sentry and Bob in Top Gun? I forget his name. Lewis Pullman. I'm hoping it's Lewis Pullman, because I liked him as Sentry and
who does
Thunderbolts.
Who does Barf? Do they kill off Barf? Or
Barf was John Candy. He passed away.
I know who it is, but I'm just saying, what do you do? What do you do? Do you kill him off, or do you just have somebody else?
That's a great
do
question.
Him, and who would be that? And then Joan Rivers was the voice of the. I mean, They should just have the Joan Rivers impersonator on Howard Stern. Yeah, that'd be funny. But who would be a good big guy to do Barf? I mean, John Goodman's not big anymore.
Yeah,
so,
man.
I mean,
I would say go in a different direction. Jason Momoa.
Jason
as Barf.
He's silly. I love
That
that
actually
guy.
would be funny.
Yeah, man.
That would actually be funny.
That's not bad. MCT dress as Josh Gad.
Well, you got it. No, then you could do the Ozempic joke.
Ozempic.
Space Epic.
Space Epic, yeah, pretty much. Oh my gosh. Oh, Rick Moranis. Oh
Yeah,
my
I'm
God,
so
that'd
glad
be
they
great.
convinced him to come back. They must have written a meaty role for him because he's not coming back to do cameos. He really wants to play a role that actually call for him to actually perform and not just show up in something and then bounce. So they must have really written the role well enough for him to come back and be Darth Helmet one more time or whoever he's evolved into in this new version of Spaceballs. But yeah, man. Aside from that, I do have one last edition story, if that's all right.
No, I was about to get to it.
Oh,
dude.
go for it. I'm sorry. I don't know if you saw it.
You're stealing my thunder.
I didn't know if you saw it. Sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I got it. Yes, this is coming from poster Solbro Ryu, and this is coming
by
from,
way of Ed the Crimson. Ed the Crimson pointed this
by way of okay, so this is touched a lot of hands. So I don't know. We may have to get some fact checkers on this because don't know if it's actually there. But yeah, this is Experience Gundam card game with a teaching app. So there's a Gundam card game that's I guess you can download it, and yeah, I mean, let's just say here it's a new trading game of Mobile Suit Gundam series. Experience the first game with the Gundam card game edition beta. So I don't know what's it going to be teaching me? How to repress my feelings and be mad at everybody and blame everybody for my problems and
put you in the shoes of every Gundam pilot, man. Angsty, son.
Exactly. give me a complex about my horrible family life. I don't know. I mean,
teach you how to Gundam jack.
Yeah, exactly.
The whole nine. The whole nine.
So it looks like you can download it on Google Play or the App Store. So I don't know here. I don't know too much about this. So Solbro, you want to?
Yeah, you can also play it in the browser if you're on your computer, either on Mac or Windows as well. I have not played it, but I did hear about this getting released, and I'm looking forward to giving it a try, possibly this weekend.
I guess it's free.
Yeah, I guess from the look of it, it's free. At least the teaching app is. So
or free to play.
Yeah. So I'm messing around. Yo, how to Bright Slap? Shout outs to Frank Lawson. There's got to be a card. I hope so.
Yeah. How to eat a burger while you
That's right.
When you have a lull between battles. So, but all right. Cool. Well, thank you, Solbro. Thank you, Ed.
Wait, I got some late breaking news here too.
Oh shit! Let's go.
Jesus Christ. Okay, what's going on? What's your late breaking news? Yes.
So we got some news today from Paramount that Star Trek Strange New Worlds has been renewed for a 5th season. They're currently filming the 4th season right now. Unfortunately, this will also be the final season.
Yep.
And it's only going to be 6 episodes on top of that.
Damn.
Ooh. From the normal 10, right?
Yes. Yeah. So, thanks a
lot. Is it going to make it, though?
Paramount.
Because Paramount is like that whole saga of trying to sell that thing off and the value it's losing. I mean, it was much more, it was worth a lot more a year than it is now. So, I mean, it is just like... I mean,
yes, we'll see, but at least we got season 3 starting next month, so
yeah.
Yay.
And I guess potentially we'll have season 4 on Netflix when Paramount doesn't exist anymore. I mean,
only time will tell.
I don't know. It's like what's losing more value, that or Warner Brothers? I mean, Jesus Christ. But okay, well that's cool. I mean,
not really.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, I mean.
Not cool.
Well, I'm looking at the bright side. I'm like, it could have been worse where they just said, well, season 5's undetermined.
It
And
looks
they just
like
They could have been screwed,
it'll
like
be one of those things they'll give us a
Discovery.
cliffhanger. It'll be the
Yeah.
best of both worlds thing for Star Trek Strange New Worlds, and we'll never get that second part.
oh man,
That would have sucked, right?
yeah, it would have.
There would have.
Imagine that years ago you guys were watching Star Trek coming out, in syndication there, and it's like, oh my god, Captain Picard, spoiler, became a Borg, and Rikers took over the Enterprise. What are they gonna do? Oh shit, it got canceled? We'll never know. But at least we know what's gonna happen with this. It's got it. I mean, if they do the 5th season, it has to end with the ship accident, right? I mean, or do you not do that? I mean,
Maybe you end on a slightly more hopeful note of the official handover
Yes,
ceremony of Pike to Kirk.
Yeah.
yeah, that's probably what they'll do.
Right.
I mean, that's
'Cause that would
probably
just be that would just be too depressing to end on the
Yeah.
accident.
They could also
Yeah.
they could also fast forward all the way to when when Pike actually settles on that planet with the I forget what they're called, the alien species that will allow him to live a full body life along with the one woman that he met in the original pilot for Star Trek, and kind of give us a postscript on
Be
that.
the Telosians.
Telosians, there you go.
But here's the thing though,
Mhm.
living with when Spock takes him to Talos in the menagerie, which of course the ending of like he's restored is just stock footage taken from the cage.
Yeah.
The Telosians with their highly advanced mental powers, they're just making Pike think that he's whole. They're not actually
Fair, yeah.
fixing him.
yeah.
So that's still not like
It's actually more diabolical than you
It's
really
not a great
realize.
ending
Yeah.
either. He's still in his little boop chair,
Yeah.
but he just thinks that he's normal.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So that's not really a great finale for Pike as a character either.
No.
Hopefully
Yeah, you're right. It's probably got to be. It's probably the handoff that makes the most sense.
Yeah.
And then the teaser that you're going to have a new Star Trek series with Captain Kirk, and you'll never get that because Paramount won't exist anymore.
Oh
So-
shit.
I mean, they're so close because all they need to do is cast Owens, Chekhov, and Sulu.
Yeah.
That's it, right? Yeah, they have to bring them
Then
in, right?
they'll have the entire crew.
You know what? We might get one of those characters per season that's left. So that
So-
would be really cool if we.
So not to get off too much of a tangent on this, but
Yeah.
how does that work? Do they eventually come in, or they come in with Kirk? Like, do those? I know. Well, Chekhov's a whole different situation because he comes in later during
Yeah.
Kirk's command. But Bones and Sulu, do they come in with Kirk when the command things? Was that ever? Do we have anything on that?
Not
or is
really clearly established. Obviously, we know that Spock was there. We did
Mhm.
not know before Strange New Worlds that Uhura was there. So, and Chapel's there. So we don't know when all these other clowns are supposed to show up. If it's supposed to be with Kirk or before Kirk.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, I think the best way to do it too is the handoff ceremony. I wonder if he would do it, but I mean, it would make every Star Wars fan or Star Trek fan head explode. The admiral that presides over the command change, it's got to be played by Shatner if he's still alive at that point, right? I mean, that would be the greatest thing to do.
I mean, he's in his 90s now too, so he's pushing it.
Yeah, he sure is.
Yeah, but I saw a picture of him and they showed some video of him the other day, and
he
he
was
like
on
walking
Col-
down the streets of New York. He looked pretty good for 94.
Yeah, he
so
was on Colbert this week.
Sure,
actually.
but all
I
you
know.
gotta do is slip in the
I know.
bathtub that
I
age,
know.
and everything goes south.
That's a wrap.
But yeah, I don't know. That's cool. I mean, I'm glad, and yeah, I heard that too. That Strange New Worlds is coming back. So seems like forever, huh? Kind of like this show. So yeah, because I saw on your post, Soul Bro, it's been what, a couple years now?
Yeah, two and a half.
Between
Yeah.
2.5 years
Yeah, man.
for
Damn
between
near.
season 1 and season 2. So all right, anything else before we dive into this?
So I'm ready, man.
You ready? Chris, you want to give us a quick little synopsis of this? It's structured in a way different way than season 1 was. So
Yes. So season 1, just to remind everyone, took place in EBY 5. That's 5 years before New Hope, and there's 4 3-episode arcs in season 2, and each of them take place 1 year after another. And the end flowing right into Rogue One. So the first arc of 3 episodes starts in BBY 4. So I guess maybe we just run through each arc, and do you want to talk about each arc as we go, or collectively everything at the end?
yeah, maybe we just do a quick synopsis, just a quick overview of the arc, and then just some points that we want to do on it, and then kind of go from there, I guess. I mean, I don't know. What do you think, so, bro? I mean,
Yeah, that sounds fine to me.
Yeah, I guess that's probably the best way of doing it.
So our first arc set in BBY 4, a bunch of stuff going on. Cassian is still on missions for a rebel cell, and he is living with Bix, who still is feeling PTSD from the torture she endured in the first season, and he's assigned to stealing a prototype TIE Avenger, and he goes to the rendezvous point, but instead finds a rebel cell that is arguing amongst themselves, and they take him hostage, and he spends most of the rest of the arc trying to escape from these idiots while they bicker with each other about who should be in charge. And by the time he finally does escape, you see that the planet that he was on was the moon of Yavin that will in the future become the rebel headquarters. In another storyline, you have Mon Mothma preparing for her daughter's arranged marriage, and she's also being sort of intimidated by her rich friend, who, obviously that was a big whole storyline back in season 1 about her finances and how it could expose what she's been up to. And at the end, said friend gets killed by operatives working for Luthen.
Mm-hmm.
And we also have the Imperial storyline introducing Orson Krennic, who is played once again by
Ben Mendelsohn,
reprising his role from Rogue One.
Mm-hmm.
And he's holding a secret meeting with a bunch of Imperial officers, including Dedra, talking about their plans for Gorman, which is a planet known for its spider silk clothing for its cloths, and it's also home to a substance called calcite that they need to power the Death Star. And the intensive mining activities that they will need to do to get the quantities that are needed for the Death Star will lead to the planet being unstable. So they have a plan to demonize the inhabitants so that when the Imperials come in heavy-handed to mine the world and oppress these people, that everything is on their side, propaganda-wise. And Dedra is put in charge of this and tells Krennic that you basically have to cultivate a band of rebels that you can count on to do the wrong thing. And she is still involved with Cyril and has to have the worst dinner ever with his god-awful mom, which is just one of the most painful scenes of anything I've ever had to watch.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
And that is Arc 1.
All right.
So, bro, what are your thoughts on Arc 1?
Well, I actually enjoyed this arc quite a bit. I really appreciated the insight on what Mon Mothma was going through, because as you watch that whole wedding unfold, and and see what she's going through. She's the only one that really knows the impact of what all these events happening at the same time are doing to her. You and her and the audience are the only ones that really know. Maybe Luthen knows to a point, but he doesn't know about the drama going on between her and her daughter. And the sets on this. What really got me about that arc, besides how it played out, was the opening montage, well, the opening one shot with Mon Mothma as she's going through the front of the palace that they live in, and the camera's following behind her and seeing her like fake a smile as she's meeting and greeting people, and then going back to her actual real emotional state, which is worried and concerned about what's playing out, and just having to do this all in one take was phenomenal, man. A lot of props to Ariel Kleinman. He's the director of this arc. He worked on Yellow Jackets, and this arc's also written by the showrunner Tony Gilroy as well. Just the growth of that character during this scene, and to know what she sacrificed as a part of this, and even risking all of it by telling her daughters, like, look, if you don't want to go through this shit, I'm with you. I will take you out there, and we'll go ahead and tell them that thank you for coming, but the wedding's off for the time being. I've got to think about this. And her daughter says to her, I wish you were drunk right now, because it's a reference to when Mon Mothma got married, her mother was drunk. And maybe it was because she wasn't crazy about the traditions of their people either. But to see that her daughter is nothing like her brings up a lot, man. It brings up the fact that a lot of kids turn out differently from their parents, especially politically. I've seen that in my own life. So I can definitely say I'm politically different from my parents. So, and it's her daughter wants to be a traditionalist. She wants to marry this mafia don's son and all this shit. So, that she's deciding her own fate. Although she's 14, so you can bring up a whole ball of wax with that whole situation with her age and everything like that. But it is what it is, and Mon Mothma can't do a damn thing about it. Her old friend, I forget his name, but the money broker that helped to launder her money and all that shit, he's now turning on her because he's being financially impacted by the rebellion. Last season he was saying that it was helping him and he was all for it, but now he's a fair weather friend and he wants to exploit Mon Mothma for money. And luckily Luthen's in the motherfucker, so he catches wind of this and says, we got to do something about him. He's a loose end. Doesn't matter how much he asks for. He's going to continue to ask for more. And Mon's trying to talk him out of it. And there's no talking him out of that shit. The best line from that exchange is, when she's trying to convince him. And she says, I forget what she says, but he says to her, how nice for you. That shit is some Tony Soprano shit. I fucking loved it. And what sealed the deal on his arc is when Vel, who's been wanting to see Cinta all this time, and Cinta's been off doing operations and stuff like that. When Tay, that's his name, Tay, he leaves the party. It's none other than Cinta picking him up, and you already know this guy's fate is sealed because Cinta doesn't leave loose ends. So it was wild to see her at the very end of that. But yeah, Mon Mothma's arc was fantastic. Also seeing Luthen and Clea be a part of that was great. We'll get to Clea later because she has a standout arc later on in the season. Andor is probably the one that's probably the most testing for the audience. I didn't mind it as much because it was cool to see the MAHQ brigade, because they got mentioned last season by Saul Guerrera, and then we finally get to see him, and they're a bunch of idiots. The one of the main ones, the blonde dude, that's played by Sam Gilroy, which is Tony Gilroy's son, and then the guy on the opposite side is Tony Gilroy's nephew-in-law. He's married to Tony Gilroy's nephew in real life, and they got to play the idiots running both sides, and they're having a civil war going on. And just to see Andor outthink him was so good. I love the opening scene though, where Andor takes off with the TIE Avenger and has to learn how to use it on the fly, and damn near gets killed trying to avoid other TIE fighters. Those scenes were so well directed, and the set that they were using for the TIE fighter was so well constructed too. But yeah, to see him finally escape those idiots, and to find out he's on Yavin is a nice touch. But when he gets back to Mina Rao and has to save his people, Bix Brasso Willman and B2 Emo, and just to see how he just devastates them is just an awesome way to craft that scene. But on Mina Rao, the most compelling moment out of all of that was, of course, Bix and the shit she was going through with that asshole. I know it garnered a lot of attention from especially certain types of Star Wars fans who said this scene had no place in this. But ultimately, I think it was a powerful scene that Bix was able to take her own agency and stop herself from being sexually assaulted by this one guy.
We don't listen to what those people say,
Oh,
and we
I
don't
don't.
care
We
what
don't.
they think because they are useless
The
people
pieces
whose opinions don't matter
they
for anything.
suck. But I will say this, and my wife pointed this out. I wish they had put a warning on the beginning of the episode talking about the fact that there was a scene of sexual assault in that episode. Because although my wife doesn't suffer from that, she knows people who have, and those scenes do trigger certain things. So I hope in the future they'll actually do that if there's any shows with that. But other than that, I was riveted, and watching season 1, I knew to look for scenes like this. On top of that, the season 1 kind of prepared us for like the dark shit that scene entailed. But the fact that she beat that motherfucker's ass and then shot the other dude, man, oh my god, I love Bix to death, and I was glad to see she was able to handle that business. So I'm sorry that she went through that though, but it was a fascinating scene, and I'm glad she handled business and didn't have to be saved by anyone. Cool shit. But ultimately, I love this arc. It's not as good as some of the other arcs coming up, but it was fantastic. On to you guys.
Chris? Oh, actually, I'll go, Chris.
Oh, sure.
Go for it.
You want? No, you can go. You know.
Just pull the rug out from under me after you off.
Got him.
Sure.
All right. You can go.
Go
You can,
for it, sir.
Sorry about that. Sorry. Go ahead, Chris.
So, did forget to mention Bix's dilemma when Imperial Creep tries to rape her and the ensuing struggles in which Brasso is killed. So, R.I.P. to the homie.
Yeah, man.
I would have to check, but at least in Star Wars film canon, I believe this is the first time ever in the franchise that somebody has said the word rape.
Yes, and, from what I know, that's true.
And that immediately jumped out at me like, oh, this is not something we're used to seeing with this franchise.
And we're pulling
This is
punches.
something that they have, tried very hard to stay away from.
Yep.
So it was interesting that it's not surprising that Andor would be the show to end up exploring it for the first time, because Andor breaks from so many Star Wars conventions.
Mm-hmm.
Personally, I think this is the weakest of the 3 arcs,
Yeah.
and most of that is because of Cassian's arc. Feels like he's barely in this arc, and most of what he's in, it's just dumb. Because these people are absolute fucking morons.
Yeah.
And they're just fighting each other for no reason because they're idiots, and it just feels like pointless filler that doesn't contribute to the broader story at all. I also expected TIE Fighter that we would see some more develop from that in the future, like maybe some mention of like, oh, we developed this new shield technology that we reverse engineer from the TIE Avenger. It's like, but it ended up just being like a moving MacGuffin.
Yeah.
Almost. Like it just didn't matter to anything in the storyline. Like, you would think it's a big deal that the fucking rebels capture a prototype TIE fighter. And you just never hear about it
that
again.
is true. I didn't even think about that. It did seem like there was just nothing.
Well, the idiots that took him prisoner are the ones that killed off Porco. So whatever the purpose was for that TIE fighter, we'll never know, because the person he was supposed to hand it off to, didn't survive the meeting. So it sucks to see that, but I'm glad he made use out of it in the long run.
The Mon Mothma part of the arc was good, and I really enjoyed the Imperial part and this secret conference. It definitely reminded me of the Wannsee conference in World War II, where all of these high-level Nazis attended a secret meeting to discuss the final solution to the Jewish question.
Yeah.
And this seemed like it was very deliberately invoking that. It's something that's been written about, and there's movies about it too. There's HBO movie from 20 plus years ago. I think it's called Conspiracy with, I think, Kenneth Branagh and a bunch of other
Yeah,
people. So if you want to learn some more about that historical event, you can dig into it. I'd recommend that movie.
it's on HBO Max for those who want to see it.
But yeah, I just think this is the weakest arc because just the Cassian part drags it down. And, the show is called Andor.
Yeah.
He should be featured more, especially in the opening arc of season and not just, sitting in a corner tied up.
Yeah.
Like I think it was just a stupid storyline, and
I agree
was
with
just
you.
poorly done.
I agree with you for the most part. I do like the fact that it's seeing how fragmented the rebel forces were back then before they finally evolved into an alliance was interesting. But 2 episodes interesting.
Is it really though? Is it
I-
really interesting? Because we get that anyway
Very
with
true.
Saw Gerrera when
True.
he pops up. So did we really need to spend 2 episodes of a bunch of just idiots arguing with each other to get the point across that,
That is a
hey,
fair point,
the
yeah.
rebels used to be disorganized? Like, it just seems like a waste of the limited screen time of 12 episodes
Yeah.
that are meant to cover 4 years.
I'm glad they weren't in episode
Yeah.
3, but I see what you're saying. Yeah, it's a little bit of wheel spinning at the end of the day, but I didn't mind it that much, but I can see how it could test people's patience, and boy did it, because I heard nothing but the same opinion you had about that, and many others did too. So I can't knock that too hard.
Anything else, Chris?
Nope.
Yeah, I do have to kind of agree. It is nice to see the thing about, fleshing out Mon Mothma a little bit more, but it does seem like there's a lot, that was just kind of there and maybe wasn't necessarily for the story. And yeah, you do bring up a great point. It is called Andor. So, and, he was first 3 episodes, he was really not there. So I'm wondering if that was like intentional or, was it something where like maybe scheduling for him or something? I don't know. I mean, yeah, it is that. And you're right that the meeting with Krennic and all the secret meeting with the Imperial officers is just very chilling, and really sets up the good groundwork for one of the other arcs that's coming up. That's definitely a game changer in terms of things. And yeah, the whole thing of sitting there the whole plan of the fascist organization, making it look like the peaceful demonstrators are much more horrible than what's really going on. Seen that before, have we? So we can come down heavy on them, but yeah. So, anything else on this arc?
Solid stuff, man. I enjoyed it. It was a nice appetizer for what's coming next.
Yeah. Chris, you want to go to arc 2?
All right, so next arc set in EBY3. So we have Cassian and Bix. They're hiding out on Coruscant in one of Luthen's safe houses, but Bix is still haunted by all of her past experiences. And we hear people talking about Gorman, and we see the effects of 1 year of Imperial propaganda. People talking about, oh, these Gormans, like, they're so uppity. They think they're so special, and they, they're just arrogant, and we don't like that. Luthen finds out that Dedra has been posted to Gorman. We also see that Cyril is there working undercover. His mom believes that they broke up and that he's been demoted by working on Gorman, but actually he's there to appear sympathetic to the slowly blossoming Gorman resistance, to infiltrate them and report back to Dedra about what he's seeing. And you have a lot of divided opinions amongst the Gore about what they should be doing. Some of them want to take direct action, others are urging more caution. Luthen sends Cassian to Gorman to evaluate the situation, and he's not impressed by what he sees, and says, "Y'all are just gonna get your asses killed, and you really shouldn't be fighting. So good luck with that. Peace out." But Luthen is not happy about that, so he ends up sending Vel and Cinta to help them out with an Imperial heist because they believe that an armory is being built right there in the town square, which has a memorial. And this is, a lovely bit of off-screen lore, memorializing people who were killed in a massacre by Tarkin, who wanted to land his ship there and just landed it on a bunch of people and killed them because he's just a fucking asshole and, he doesn't give a shit.
Nope.
So they do this heist. And unfortunately, because of the bungling of some of one of the Gore rebels, Cinta gets killed tragically, which of course ignited a lot of debate online. That it's like, oh, let's do a bury your gays trope in Star Wars because that's always fun.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, the Mon Mothma storyline has her trying to build support in the Senate to cut some of these powers that the ISB has, but you have this climate of fear, and nobody's really interested in helping her out there because the Empire being what it is.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, finally gets her revenge on Gorst, who tortured her in the first season using his own torture device against him, and Cassian helps her. They blow up the facility, so she gets some nice closure on that, and that is Arc 2.
So, bro.
Oh, me? Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, you're so bro.
Is there anybody else named Soulbro here
Nah,
in this call?
the audio got cut off. All I heard was bro. So I should have known that was me.
Bro.
That's all I heard.
Bro. Come on, bro.
Yeah, this is when the momentum starts to pick up, but there's a lot of table setting in this arc too, especially when it comes to Gorman. I may be the lone person on this show that actually had an interest in Cyril. I know that he's a piece of shit. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to rah-rah for him. That's not what I'm saying here. But he's a fascinating character. He reminds me of all these. He reminds me a lot, actually, of Suzaku from Code Geass. He's kind of one of those people who he's heroic coded. At least he thinks in his own mind that he is, but he's really doing more damage than he's helping. And so, seeing
Code Geass ultimately does have Suzaku doing heroic things.
Sure,
So
I don't get that.
Not for a long ass time. It took a while before that happened. The show allowed him to be redeemed. This show does not. For Cyril
really is just Space Javert.
Yeah,
that's really his entire.
Right. Yeah.
That's his character.
To me, he feels
more than Suzaku.
To me, he feels more like the detective from the Fugitive, because I'm a big fan of that show. And when eventually he's going to cross paths with Andor and it's all going to come to a head. But yeah, you're right. It is Space Les Miserables at the end of the day. But I loved his arc here because it's kind of a culmination of everything he's wanted to do. To be someone of importance. He's so desperate to be important. There's a really cool foreshadowing scene in season 1 where he's in his room back in his childhood home, and he sits there in his room waiting for that one ray of light to come into his room for about 30 seconds. And it actually crosses his face, which is a foreshadowing, I realize now, of that bolt hitting him in the head later on as well. But it's like he waits for, that moment where he thinks he's going to actually have a chance to prove himself. And he thinks that this is his chance, being a double agent. His arc, his performance, he's really good at what he did, but only up to a point. But at the end of the day, he thinks it's just about arresting these people and arresting any kind of accelerators here, not realizing what the end game is, and not even Dedra wants to tell him. And their dynamic between the two of them is fascinating, but also weird. But I appreciate it.
It's very weird, and it gets weirder. And I will say, I did not like Cyril in season 1. Obviously, I made that clear.
Oh yeah,
But I did like him a lot more in season 2, and I'll get
yeah.
into that more later.
Cool. Kyle Solar, I think hopefully he gets nominated for an Emmy because he really rocked it as this character. His aesthetic, the way he looks, reminds me of I forget the name, Kyle MacLachlan from
Yes, he does look a lot like Kyle MacLachlan.
dude, it's crazy, and especially in this arc where his hair is slicked back, he looks a lot like Kyle MacLachlan did in Twin Peaks, and that's intentional. That's what one of Kyle Solar's inspirations for the way his character looked. But yeah, just to see his whole approach to the season and see how he's giddy like a child when he's with Partagas and Dedra at the ISB, and he says this is the greatest day of my life. It's like, yo, you were incorrigible, dude. But yeah, it all builds up to later when he realizes he's being used, and I love how that all unfolds later on. But the way he was talking to his mother in that scene, knowing he was being listened to and whatnot, he's competent in certain ways. And I like that the show sold that he wasn't a complete idiot, but he's still a loser villain at the end of the day, and that sucks for him. Dedra also is a character I absolutely love. She's so competent, and it goes to show that the Empire cannot.
Too competent.
What's that?
Too competent, ultimately.
Yeah, she's so competent, and she's talented too, man. She can see things before they happen. She can look at the data, know what's going on, track shit. She's very good at her job, but will never get recognized because the Empire recognizes no one. At the end of the day, they eat their own. They cannibalize their own people, and that's how fascism works. And you're starting to see that more and more as her arc progresses, especially in this scene, having to do a job she didn't even want to do. She tried to get out of it. Partagas told her earlier that it's like, you need to do this because this is the way you move up in the ISB. So she's doing it at first reluctantly, but then again, she goes whole ham in this arc and then in the next arc too. But the performances by Denise Gough in this arc is fantastic too. Getting to the other arcs here, like Andor's arc is pretty minimal. He's pretty much, it's him and Bix together. Bix is dealing with her PTSD from her experiences, and she's on drugs and she's going through a rough time. And it's not my favorite arc for Bix, but she eventually picks up from here, especially at the way this arc ends. But I loved their dynamic together, how much in love they were with each other. I think that was the coolest shit about this, to see a real romance in Star Wars. We've seen some before, but this one was it might be one of my favorite romances between two characters, although it's forged in trauma, which sucks. Andor, though, I love the fact that he got to go undercover and go to Gorman and pretend to be this fashion designer and all that shit, and he really took on the role. It lends to what he said in season 1, where he has the confidence to walk into an installation and pretend to be someone else. And it's like, if you go in with confidence, you can fool anyone. Same thing for the first arc in the series when he played the pilot to steal the TIE Avenger, right? Same shit, man. He lives his raps, and you love to see it. I love that he told the Gorman rebels, like, you're not ready for this. You're not capable of doing what you want to do without endangering yourself, because you're not willing to put in the work and be as discreet as you need to be, take losses. You want to tout everything you do, and that's a problem. But he tells him what's up, and then leaves and has an argument with Luthen, and Luthen says, if they get caught and they end up getting sacrificed, it's gonna help us in the end. And that's a sinister thing to say, and that's where him and Andor have a difference of opinion, and things start to fracture between the two of them. Great arc, man. I enjoyed that, but ultimately the biggest loser here, I think, is Vel and Cinta getting back together. Love it. I loved it. It sucks that Cinta was kind of bedridden for a good long time during the last year, and that they got reunited only for her to end up dying because of friendly fire, because of some idiot who could not leave his blaster at home. Is such a tragic thing, but also shit that does happen in rebellions like this. It was interesting to see play out. But my favorite part in this entire arc is when Vel shits all over Sam for what he did. That speech, that monologue, is everything to me, man. I absolutely love it. I think her name is Faye Marseille. Fantastic actress, man. She tore that man apart in just a few sentences. It was so good. I really enjoyed this arc. I know it's a little slow going for some, but it was very textured, very layered, very well shot, man. I'm so impressed by how this show looks and the sets they built for it. It's so good. Anyway, back to y'all. Who's next?
Chris.
Oh, Chris.
Oh,
You too.
yeah. I think this arc is a big step up from the first one. It's firing on all levels with all of our leads. It's interesting seeing Cyril take on this new role and actually kind of get to do the thing that he wants to do, which is to be a helpful fascist rather than just a bureaucratic fascist.
Yeah.
And just watching his interactions with these Gore, like these poor suckers, they have no idea who they're talking to.
Yeah.
And it's interesting seeing how everything has changed from the previous arc, because in that first arc, Gore, the capital, was this like lively place, and you see in the second arc that it's there's a lot more tension. Cassian's there pretending to be a fashion designer, and he's like talking to the bellhop, and bellhop's telling him about the massacre, and how it's just not as many people anymore. And another interesting thing that I think is a very deliberate choice, again calling back to World War II, is that the Gore all speak their own language that is very French sounding.
Yes.
And the way that they dress, all of their costumes look like 1940s France.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Like you watch any old movie about, French resistance fighters in World War II, or play like a Call of Duty game or whatever, and it's like the Gore look like those people.
Yeah. There's a very good game called The Saboteur that came out a couple years ago that also reminded me of as well. That takes place during the French Revolution, during World War II as well.
So, yes, they did Cinta dirty, but I think that's probably just a production reality of the fact that the actress was cast to be a companion in Doctor Who.
Oh,
They
yeah.
had to go film that in Cardiff, where this is filmed in Pinewood Studios outside of London. So,
man.
and then unrelated, but just a few weeks after Cinta gets done dirty on Andor, her character on Doctor Who also gets done dirty, but not in the same way. So it's
Ooh.
like not a good ending for both of those characters.
Oh, that sucks.
But anyway, yes, it was really interesting seeing the progression of propaganda and just seeing how it's changing people's opinions across the galaxy. And it just goes to show that nobody is immune to propaganda, because sometimes propaganda is very obvious, like Nazis making films where they intercut images of Jews with images of like dirty rats.
Yeah.
And many times the propaganda is way more subtle. And the best propaganda is the type that you don't even notice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else, Chris?
That's it for this arc.
Yeah. I think this is it's definitely an upgrade from the prior arc. It sees everything kind of going in, setting into motion. It's nice to see Saul Guerrero kind of show back up.
Yeah, dude. That's the whole thing I forgot to talk about, but go for it, man. Please. That's all yours.
Yeah. No. It was definitely great to see him in there. It's great to see Andor's kind of role within the I guess the fledgling rebellion at this point, and it's kind of his thing that he's doing with Luthen, where it's like, Luthen's just got this weird thing of like, he just wants to make sure there's all these resistance cells out there, but so he's so blind in his hatred for the Empire that he doesn't even take the advice that Cassian's telling him. Like, look, these people, they're not going to be able to do this. Like, this is not a good thing to have them do what you're trying to do here, and it's probably going to cause more problems than what we what we think it's going to be. So
Yo, Cassian was like a league scout looking for AAA talent during that shit, right?
pretty much.
And
Well,
nobody passed the, nobody cut the mustard, man.
yeah. I mean, he had enough foresight to be like, look, he was looking at the long game on this, and
His conversation with the daughter of the Gorman group was priceless in the cafe. That shit was so good, man. Sorry, I keep interrupting you. I apologize. Go for it.
no. I mean, it is, and it's just like, he's getting, she shits on, and Luthen shits on him for being short-sighted. It's like, wait, no, you're the one being short-sighted. Like, you got to play the long game on this. You're going against this giant entity that has many moving pieces and who is dedicated in doing some very terrible things to you and your people.
I think also it adds because Andor himself went through the experience on Ferrix where they basically lost their town because of the Empire.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't want to see the same thing happen to these people here on Gorman
Right.
as well, right? He went through that personally as well, so he had empathy for them when Luthen didn't, which is a big difference between the two of them.
And it's funny because Saw, Luthen doesn't really like Saw, and then they don't really like each other, but they're almost kind of the same side of the coin.
Yes,
because of just their fanaticism and refusal to listen to anybody who questions anything that they're doing. I mean, they're almost, it shows in some ways, they're almost as bad as the Empire. They're almost as bad as those, those leaders that, sometimes, what do they say? The best leader surrounds themselves with people that tell them no, not the ones that tell them yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, you kind of need that at times of like, hey, look, I get what you're going, but this is what's really going on. And I mean, yeah. And of course you get the little heist thing. It's always great to have a little heist. The little heist movie portion to it.
Yeah.
And, you do get to see that, even as paranoid, Saul ends up killing Plute, and and he's right because the guy is a traitor, but it's
we really
just like
don't know.
they're on edge.
We really don't know. Like he did see that the information was leaked somehow, so you could assume he was, or it could have been bullshit. Because Saul's crazy.
Yeah, it is.
Gotta pump the gas fumes, my boy. Smell the gas.
Let it run wild.
Explains so many things about Saw. That he's out here huffing space gas and encouraging others to do the same.
This series defined him perfectly, and I was floored at how well they did it. When he called that gas his sister, that said everything you needed to know. Because we know he was forever damaged by the loss of his sister in Clone Wars. But the fact that he has been searching for a coping mechanism for the loss of her,
and
he's found whether it be revenge or the Rido. Those are the two things that keep him going, and it's a tragedy in motion, and it just makes me empathize with this character finally, because I just thought he was a crazy nut, but he even knows he's crazy. But go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, and it explains a lot, which is something they really kind of don't need to do.
Yeah.
Because Rogue One was made, how many years prior to this? And how many people are going to really, outside of the big Star Wars fans, are going to put this together? But it's like, it explains like how weird he was in that movie.
Yes.
Because you get you know about him in Clone Wars if you watch Clone Wars, but if you didn't know about him,
jump from that to Rogue One.
Yeah.
Right. And then if you don't even know anything, any basis of him, you just is like, who is this crazy guy?
Yeah, because
that everybody thinks is this,
because he shows up briefly. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
That who's kind of who's fanatical and dangerous at the same time for that the rebellion's even sitting there going, we probably shouldn't really put any of our eggs in his basket because this guy is just bonkers. But this really does a good point of like showing like, okay, we see why this dude's so fucked up.
Yeah.
I mean, and we see why, and we see why he even has this kind of like cast of misfit toys that's with him. Because they're all damaged like he is.
Yeah, very much so.
And that's why they kind of get there. But it really does show that, in some ways the resistance or the rebellion is its own worst enemy in a lot of these things too. The fact that they even get to the point that they get to is just beyond on
Smell the
there.
gas and everything will be fine.
Or
Smell
what was
the
that?
gas, my boy. Smell it.
What was that thing in Rogue One that that big like giant squid thing?
Borgullet.
Old Borgullet.
Yes.
Borgullet will tell everything. Borgullet will tell me everything. It's like, oh my god, this guy is nuts.
He's wild, son.
and it's a great thing because it's something you don't see in the prior Star Wars. I mean, it's really it really kind of like brings the resistance and the rebellion into reality, where like the Lucas films, it makes them kind of seem like they're
Very
just
black
these,
and white. They're all straight up heroes in the
straight up
rebellion.
heroes and doing
There's
the right
no
thing,
morally shady people
right?
in the OT at all.
Right, and that the fact of they won because they believed in truth, justice, and the rebellion way, and it's just like, but no, the fact that they even got to the point they did is because they had to have these crazy people there. I mean, Saul is a necessary evil for the rebellion. I mean, and
So is Luthen.
So is Luthen, yeah, as we see, and so is Cassian. I mean, because Cassian does some straight up questionable shit too. Not as much as these guys, and he's a little bit more pragmatic and a little bit more, measured. And he really sees that it's going to be this long game, because you were seeing there's parts of the rebellion, they get a little bit of success and they're thinking, oh, we can take on the world. I mean,
should have smelled the fumes. Didn't smell the fumes.
So, but yeah, it's definitely a better arc. I liked it a lot. I felt it really kind of started kind of fleshing some of these things together. Yeah, Cassian's not in it as much, but I think it does pretty much show, the rebellion, because it does kind of give you some of the more of the movie pieces in this. And yeah, Cyril, it is funny that he's thinking, because you do think it's like, oh wow, is this guy gonna actually kind of make something of himself and not just be some loser? It's in, like, what was it, the measurement and standards department of of the thing. Is he gonna make his mommy proud?
Job ever.
Oh, is he gonna make his mommy proud? I mean, and finally win over Deidre, and it's like, well, we'll get to see in the next arc here.
Oh boy.
So, but anything else on arc 2?
I just want to point out a few things. Shout outs to Dan Mason. He says, "You have no idea where I am." You'll
That's not this arc though.
Not this. Oh, it's later on. Yeah. Also, MCG Dread brings up a good point. Saul Guerrero also shows up in Fallen Order. He also shows up in Bad Batch at the very beginning, and of course several episodes of Rebels. So there's a lot of Saul Guerrero throughout the different series, but it's good to see him contextualized with this show, and fantastic.
But I've seen him in those other things, but he's mad nuts in this.
Yes.
One. I mean, the way they show him in Andor, it's like that is
all those years smelling that gas.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. I mean, he's mad nuts, and it really makes like how crazy he is in freaking Rogue One, where it's like he didn't even give a thought about getting off of Jeddah. It was like, nope, I'm just gonna stay here with my Borg gullet.
Yeah,
and we're gonna take it on.
Yazi brings up a good point. He asks if Two Tubes is also huffing the same gas as Saul. That might explain a lot with him too, because he's just as nuts, man. I don't know, but that's all I got, man. Good ass arc, man. I enjoyed it.
All right, so Chris, you want to give us arc 3?
So arc 3 brings us to BBY 2.
Oh,
and
man.
the situation on Gorman continues to deteriorate, and now you see the plaza there in the city center is just kind of this empty area. You see a lot more Imperial troops. You have the arrival of Imperial riot police. All of the rebel activities are being cast as activities by outside agitators. It's like, where have I heard that before?
Yeah, man.
I could
those old
just hear
outside
your friend.
agitators.
Yeah.
I could just hear your friend. Man, I mean, I could just hear him now saying this, and in his little chamber there. But we won't say his name.
Luthen finds out that Dedra is there on Gorman directing the Imperial operation. So Cassian and Wilman go there to assassinate her. And, as the situation continues to get worse, Cyril is starting to open his eyes and realize, hey, maybe all this fascism is bad, and I was down with it when, it was cool for me, and it seems kind of different and bad now. And he has a very strange confrontation with Dedra in her office, where he literally just starts choking her out to demand information, and she just kind of quietly goes along and gives it to him. And it's like, bro, do you realize position of the person you're fucking with here? You just not remember who it is that she is and how she can fuck you over?
Yeah, man.
Not that that'll matter soon enough. But anyway, as the situation gets more tense with these riot police and whatnot, Dedra gives the order to an Imperial sniper to shoot one of their own people to, of course, use a false flag attack as a trigger for starting to just massacre the Gore. And we see people fighting in the streets there against the stormtroopers and the riot police. You see people trying to escape and being blocked. It definitely brought to mind kettling, which is a police tactic that we've seen in America in the last few years during the BLM protests, where they enclose protesters and order them to leave, but then don't give them any avenue for escape so that they can, beat them down and arrest them. In this case, they're just straight up killing them. Cassian, unfortunately, is not able to kill Dedra, and Cyril, while being dumbstruck by all the massacre going on around him and somehow miraculously not being killed, spots Cassian, and he just flies off into a rage and attacks him and tries to kill him. And in the most savage fucking moment of this entire series, just before Cyril is shot in the head by Rylans, the Gore resistance leader, Cassian looks at him with befuddlement in a second momentary break from the fighting and says, "Who are you?"
Are you?
And Cyril is just so destroyed by this that he doesn't even notice he's about to die, and I think he already was dead just because of how deeply that remark destroyed him.
Oh.
Yes, Cyril is the Scarlet Witch in Infinity War.
Yeah, that's exactly
You've destroyed me so much.
I don't even know who you are.
I don't even know who you are. Or what, Bison and Chung-Li in the live action,
People making that comparison too. Oh,
I mean, it's just like...
Yeah. And then, while trying to escape from the massacre, Cassian neutralizes a KX Enforcer droid and brings the parts along with him, because that, of course, will become K2SO, voiced once again by Alan Tudyk.
Hell yeah.
And immediately following the massacre, there's a lot of chaos in the Senate, and through some political maneuvering, Bail Organa gives up time so that Mon Mothma can speak. and she is planning to escape right after giving her speech. But then Luthen finds out that Bale's security team has been compromised, so he sends Cassian to rescue her on Coruscant. So Mon Mothma gives her speech about fascism and the Gore massacre and all of that, and she blames it all on Emperor Palpatine.
Woo!
No, not me. I was unjustly smeared by these rebel scum. Fake news. She was lucky I wasn't there to give her some false joke.
Oh, damn it! He broke through. He must have force choked his
You know,
way into Chris's house.
There's all these lies being spread on these rebel networks.
Hey, Emperor Palpatine, is it true that the governor of Gorman didn't ask for the stormtroopers to be there? Is this true?
He's a liar. And smells bad too, probably.
Anyway, enough of that guy. So Cassian does a daring rescue of Mon Mothma right there outside of the Senate, having to fight the spy, and then end up killing her driver, who is also compromised.
Of course.
And they are able to escape, and that mostly wraps up Arc 3, except that for when, after Cassian gets home, Bix decides that she needs to leave and leaves him a video saying, like, I gotta go, figure myself out and,
Not me.
see
it's
you later when this is all over.
Ooh.
It's not you. It's me.
Yeah, she drops him a Dear John video.
Yep.
Pretty much. Yeah, I'm out.
Yeah.
So
that's the end of Arc 3.
So Chris, why don't you give us your impressions on
Oh, yeah.
Arc 3?
And Episode 8 was really hard to watch.
Bro.
It's an amazing episode, but it's just a really tough watch for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
It encapsulates to me, like, just like we mentioned before about how the rebellion was much more, much more gray. The people were much more gray than what they are, but it encapsulates like what, the Empire, in Lucas's movies, it's like the Empire is evil, but it's still kind of a black and white kind of like they're just evil because they're, the evil guys and they have the darker clothes and some of these other things. But like this really shows like why people were afraid of the freaking Empire and why it was just in control for so long. Oof.
Man.
It was bad. It was really, really bad.
It demonstrates, and we've seen this, in lots of other fiction, even in Star Wars, you see it in Bad Batch quite a bit, that fascist governments are machines that exist only to grind up people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the machine doesn't care who it grinds up, whether it's victims or supporters.
Exactly.
Yeah. Because that thing when you see the riot police guys, that that whole thing that they're having to go through, and they know as soon as they get in there, they're like, this
fucked.
is not good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like, yeah. And I gotta say this shows that you don't have to have gratuitous violence to show something shocking. Like I get it, but the fact of what just the ruthlessness of this, like Chris said, the meat grinder, well put on display here. So, but go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, I mean, Star Wars by definition isn't gory because blasters just put holes in people and kill them, and lightsabers, cauterize wounds once you stab somebody. So, not like you're gonna see people being riddled bloody with bullets and whatnot, but it still is just a shocking thing to see of just all these people being mowed down and all these people, who have been demonized now for 2 years by the Empire, who did nothing wrong, that their only crime was existing on a planet that had something that the Empire wanted for the Death Star. That's their only crime, and for that they have to be wiped out in genocide, and it's probably the most direct example of the banality of fascism. Because obviously, firing the Death Star at Alderaan is a ginormous war crime. You're destroying a planet and killing billions of people, but that's like fanciful nonsense that we can't relate to.
Right.
We can't do that on Earth. We can't, fire lasers that kill that many people. The Gorman massacre has happened on our world so many times in so many places, and
Throughout
it's still
history.
happening in places
Sudan
right now.
and
So it's something that's a lot more the everyday evil is obviously a lot more relatable than the fantastical evil.
yeah.
The OT trilogy is good at the very big picture 30,000-foot view of the fantastical evil, but they obviously don't have time in those movies to show the everyday evil that just crushes people and grinds them up in this machine.
Yeah, you had to build up to that, right? Because you, as horrific as seeing the Death Star's laser obliterate a planet or sections of a planet, you had to build up to that by all the other micro cosms of evil that are planted throughout this series, whether it be the sexual assault or the Gorman massacre or the previous Gorman massacre that was always legends until it became part of the history of this timeline as well. So it's. Yeah, man, it was horrific to see, man.
let's be honest.
Yeah.
When the first Star Wars was made, they didn't know that it was going to have sequels.
Oh yeah, sure.
And there wasn't going to be, a giant franchise and things like that.
Yeah,
so I think people have to kind of put that in consideration too.
But I mean, that's the point of the show, is to show the bridge that led to that point, and it does a great job of doing that with all the atrocities they caused. It's like what Nemec said, hit people with 40 atrocities, so they're overwhelmed by that shit, so you don't see what they're really doing. That's exactly what that shit is, and it's horrific when you see it unfold.
So,
but Chris,
anything else? Yeah, Chris.
No, that's it for me. Oh well, I do got to comment on Mothma's speech.
Yeah, man.
It's interesting always seeing that Senate chamber, because the last time we saw it in live action was when Yoda got his butt whooped by a certain somebody.
Yes.
Yep.
And it's always interesting seeing, because we saw this a bit in the prequel trilogy and in Clone Wars, like all of the senators who are just like fucking useful idiots, like who just spit out the propaganda that they've been fed and are just utterly useless shitheads, and that they're just all like yelling at Mon Mothma and trying to like shut her down, and it's like these people are just detestable.
Yeah,
on every level.
Yeah, it shows the worst of it, and I mean, it just shows you what's left there, and it does show the courage it took for her to do what she did, because most people wouldn't do that. I mean, you're basically throwing everything away at that point.
Yeah, I mean, she had a very comfortable life. It's like, it's because you see, like, the Mon Mothma later on, like, living in these rebel bases versus the Mon Mothma of, 1.75 seasons of Andor, living a very comfortable life of privilege that she could have just had forever, but she chose to toss all that aside because she believed in something more than her.
Yeah. Not many people would do that.
No,
I mean,
not many would.
You see real world examples of that right now, where people know things are wrong, but they
like their comfortable life.
Exactly. So, anything else, Chris?
No.
Stolbro?
I got some smaller points I wanted to point out. I love the interaction. When it comes to Bix and Andor's arc in this trilogy of episodes, the encounter with the Force Healer was a cool moment. I know that usually the Force doesn't have much of a place in this series because it's kind of on the mystical side of Star Wars, but I do like the fact that there's a guiding hand. Um, Taking Andor from place to place to place. This is also brought up again.
I did not like that scene at all.
Oh, you don't like it, man? I was cool with it, man. I was
No,
I
was cool.
it
With
was
it.
it felt like the most Star Wars thing
Yeah,
in a show that goes very far out of its way to be as un-Star Wars as possible,
yeah,
and I just thought it was completely out of place, and
man.
I did not like it. I know what they were trying to do,
Yeah,
but it just didn't work, and it was unnecessary.
I felt that they had to get there eventually because the Force is referenced a lot in Rogue One, and so
By
even
religious people.
true,
Yeah, by religious people.
Andor
Yeah.
brushed it off. As well, like you would if someone walked up to you and wanted to read your fortune and all that shit, and which is realistically how he was. He even mentions the fact that his mother got duped by one of those people back in the day, so he has a bad impression of people who claim to be close to the Force. But I liked it because we all know what the ultimate outcome for this is, but it also lent to Bix's debate with the fact that she knows that she's holding him back and has to leave and has to make that sacrifice. It's like, I gotta go. There's other reasons that we'll get into as to why she had to leave, and according to the writers, that she did know of her condition at the time that she was contemplating sticking around or going. So I thought that was interesting. There's also I got to give a shout out to Anton Lesser, man. He was sprinkled throughout this arc, and his acting throughout the entire series is phenomenal. He plays Leo Partagas, and they mentioned, saw a writers roundtable where they mentioned that the inspiration for him was a movie called the Paper Chase, which is about students under like a professor in college. I forget what time era it takes place in, but I remember John Houseman being in the movie. He was the professor in that movie, and he does have this professorial impact on Dedra and some other characters. And I love anytime he shows up and talks shit, especially the enthusiasm moment between him and what's his name? I forget his name, but the young upstart that is taking over Dedra's cases. Tells him to condense his enthusiasm or something. That shit is great. But as an actor, I always look forward to seeing him and shit. So I've loved his performance throughout this entire series, all the way to the end. Other than that, man, the main focus here is, of course, the Gorman Massacre, man. Just feeling the tension build up throughout all these episodes until it actually unfolds, and the horror of watching it unfold and seeing how Cyril it tries to get to the bottom of this and confronts Dedra, and I hate the fact that he got physical with her, but he eventually got the truth, and then he goes into the middle of the square to die, and of course, as fate would have it, not one bolt touches him. as the Michael Bay camera rotation goes right around him. It's so wild. But eventually he does see Cassian and has sees red and charges him, and this one of the most brutal fights, if not the most brutal fight I've ever seen in Star Wars. I was gonna say the Bix encounter was, but this toppled it, man. That Dukaroo was crazy, man. There's a really good video on YouTube where the stunt actors from that scene actually break it down. You could find it on YouTube. It's great. They talk about like all the preparation they had to do, what the actors involved got to do as well. It's so interesting how they pulled it off, and it's fantastic. But that fight,
then he gets unceremoniously killed,
boy,
like Omar did,
yes,
did in The Wire.
Yes,
like
bro.
He just gets shot in the head, and it's like, okay.
Speaking of The Wire, and correct me if I'm wrong, Dedra feels a lot to me like McNulty. Do you guys feel the same?
No.
Like there's a little McNulty in
no?
her. Not really, because McNulty.
I don't see that at all.
Completely. McNulty was a completely flawed guy that just kind of fucked up things. He
Fair
had
point.
He wanted.
He wasn't evil.
He wasn't evil.
He did bad things.
And
he did bad things for the right reasons.
Yeah, but I'm talking about his doggedness to solve the cases that he was on, even to his own detriment, is basically the side that
I mean, even at this arc though, I mean, and the point where she gets choked out by Cyril, I think that's when that to me is her turning point where she starts to see like, oh shit, I'm the only competent one. This is what I believed in, but even this is stupid, and all these people that I'm working with are fucking idiots, and they're just here for their own agendas, and they're not really, and because Chris was right. It's like, you do realize who you're choking out here. Like this, she could just fucking have you. I mean, she should have had him taken away and probably shot out back if she was a true believer. But it's like at that point, I think she
pretty much happened anyway. So
I mean, it does, But I mean, this is, I think, to me, where you get the change in her, where she's starting to question it, even though she still believes in it. But you can see the doubt is in there.
Yeah, man.
I should also mention, I forgot to say, speaking of Cyril, I'm glad that he died the way that he did, and that he did not get a redemption, because even though he started to see at the edges of like, oh, the Empire's lying and they've manipulated this whole situation and they're massacring all these people, instead of like taking a stand to do something about that, he sees Andor and all that goes out the window because of his petty fucking obsession he can't let go of, and he died exactly as he deserved.
Yeah, he looks at Andor as a
scapegoat
for his misfortune. Yeah.
And it'd be too cliche for him to all of a sudden, like, we've seen that too many times.
Yeah, there's a lot of Star Wars stories where people defect. So it's like, you can't have that happen all the time. It's like, sometimes the Nazis are just Nazis.
Yeah. Nazis.
Not everyone is
he's not going to get redeemed.
Good person who's going to defect.
Yeah, and Cyril.
Yes, he was questioning it, but he still believed in it. It's just like the thing with Deidre. It's like, it's kind of the same thing. Yeah, she started questioning this and she started realizing, but she was still a true believer. I mean, even when we see what happens to her later, it's like, oh yeah, okay, this is why the Empire loses, because for them to stay in power, you probably wanted more people like her. But I still didn't feel bad for her because she's a fucking Nazi. So it's like, and she's still a true believer even to the end. Yep. So yeah, I'm with you on that, Chris, because it would have been that would have been really Star Warsy if he would have had the redemption arc at the end. It's like, no. And it's kind of apropos to him too, or he just kind of dies in kind of like an unassuming way. He just gets a shot to the head from the Resistance leader.
Yeah,
it's like, oh,
yeah,
that's more shocking than anything. So,
but yeah, props to Dan Gilroy for the writing in these episodes as well, man. He excels at writing characters like Dedra and Cyril. These antagonist characters, man. He's so good at that shit. And props to Denise Goff and Kyle Solar, man. They put in stellar performances in this arc. Kyle, especially with that look on his face when he realizes that Andor doesn't even know who the fuck he is. That shit is priceless. You can't. Yeah, that's a hard emotion to convey. And also him being so stunned as well when that happens. Also being stunned in the middle of the square too when all the shit is going down. It's quite amazing, man. Just to see Dedra's panic attack after everything's said and done, because believe it or not, she actually cares for him, and it's true. Otherwise, you're right. She probably would have had him taken out back and shot for grabbing her and whatnot. She actually gives a shit about him in her own way. And then even after he leaves the command center, she tells her second in command, it's like, find Cyril, make sure he's been secured. And she's still looking outside the window, trying to find him in that chaos, and can't find him. It's when she finds out later on that he's dead that she has the complete breakdown, and you see it on her face. And the fact that happened was amazing to me, because I thought she'd just be cold and unfeeling, but she actually, it's the last of her humanity you see that she's losing at that very point. And I love the fact that the show took a moment to show that. I thought that was phenomenal, man. Not enough is said about Diego Luna as well in these scenes, man. Especially at the end of this when he's driving away in the vehicle with K2SO's broken body, and he's hearing the radio broadcast and he's crying over the horror that he witnessed and played a part in. And the back and forth that him and Cyril had, and between him and Wilman Pack when they're saying goodbye to each other. It's so good, man. There's so many moments in these 3 episodes that are unreal. And then when you get to episode 9, goddamn, Mon Mothma's speech, and you also have Bill Organa, now played by Benjamin Bratt, which I thought was super cool, man. I hate the fact that Jimmy Smits couldn't be there, but Benjamin Bratt was a nice replacement. I had no problem with that shit. One of the best moments to me was when he was talking to Mon Mothma and he said, "Tear the shit out this place." That's like, yo. you said the S word, Benjamin Bratt. Good shit for real. Loved him in this arc. If anything, what was it? The whole escape was just so well planned. There's a great moment where Mon Mothma's with Andor as they're outside the Senate, making their way to the car, and of course, what's his name? I think Cloris walks up, the Mon Mothma's driver, and before he can even say a word, Andor asks Mon Mothma, it's like, what's his name? It's like, Cloris, and he says, "We found her, Cloris. We found her." And he's like mystified. It's like, who the fuck is this guy? And it ends up getting shot. That shit is brilliant. That shit is amazing to me that he would take advantage of. He would get advantage in that situation by calling that guy out by his name and just being a quick shot like he always is. But it's just impressive, man. That whole episode kept us on their toes. Yeah, man, it was it's just a solid arc overall. Chris said a lot, and so did Neo. But yeah, man, this is definitely the high point of the series. Although I love the last arc as well. I will just go ahead and turn it back over to you guys. But this is just an amazing arc from start to finish, man. Especially episode 8, man, spellbinding.
Yeah, it's kind of weird on this. The last points of this arc here is that as much as you see the incompetency of the the Empire, and the fact that they don't seem like they really listen to the more talented people that they have, like Deidre, the fact that they have these plants on all their senators, and even when it comes to, they kind of know what Mon Mothma is up to, it seems, and just waiting for her to make the mistake so they can take her out. Yeah. So it is weird. It's like there is flashes of like competency of the Empire, but that starts to get starts to change.
Like with that Captain Kaido guy, man. That guy is sick, dude. That motherfucker. Mm-hmm. He scared the shit out of me. What they call him, the Fixer. He came in and set up the whole thing with the false flag operation. That guy. Mm-hmm. Oh, I hope to see him again, man. I just want to see someone get revenge on him in some other story, but that'll never happen, man. But there's people like that in real life, and it's scary, man. But yeah, man. Oof, terrible.
Yeah. So, Chris, you want to get us up on our final arc here?
All right. So the last arc takes us to BBY1. So we are almost there. And Luthen is informed by Lonnie, his insider in the ISB, about everything. He has used secret access with Dedra's codes, and he's put together everything about the Death Star, the Empire mining for kyber crystals on Jeddah, Galen Erso developing this super weapon for the Empire, and yada yada. And he's like, "Look, I gave you everything you've wanted. You got to get me out of here." And Luthen's like, "Yeah, sure, buddy," and just blasts a hole right through him.
Wow.
So he is desperate to get this information out. Makes Clea remember all of the key points while he starts sabotaging the computer, and she escapes. At the same time, Dedra shows up, pretending to want to have something to sell, and they have this very interesting conversation where they both it's a lot of kayfabe. They all know exactly who the other is, really, but they are putting on this facade of this being just a normal transaction between a merchant and a customer. And then when she finally reveals her hand of like, I've got you surrounded and you're done, he uses a fancy old knife to stab himself, and he gets taken to the hospital right there in Coruscant, and they shut off access to this one area.
Mm-hmm.
And Playa sneaks into the hospital to not rescue Luthen, but to disconnect the life support, which she manages to do entirely on her own. And she basically puts him down. And throughout this episode, we see these flashbacks of how they met, and we learn that Luthen was an Imperial soldier, and his unit massacred her hometown when she was a kid, and that was his breaking point. So he, killed some of his compatriots, ran off with her, and they set up this like antiquing / rebel activity business, and that gives you some fresh insight on her basically killing her own father to protect the rebellion.
Yeah.
She then starts, she goes and hides in the old safe house there on Coruscant where Andor and Bix previously lived, and she pulls out of the wall a space Morse code machine.
Yeah.
She's transmitting, and the receiver unit, Ullman, has it on Yavin and gives it to Cassian, and he thinks that it's Luthen sending the message, and nobody on Yavin cares, and they don't want to have anything to do with Luthen. So Cassian says, fuck this, I'm going to do my own thing. So him and Melshi and K2SO, they take off anyway. They go to Coruscant, and they arrive in this apartment block just ahead of the Imperials and learn that, no, actually it's Clea, and that Luthen is gone, and I got all this fucking intel. And then the Imperials show up, led by Hirt, who's one of the greasy strivers in the ISB.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, Dedra has been arrested, and Krennic tells her, like, boy, you sure were dumb because, you dug into all this classified information because you just couldn't let go of Axis. And, this guy, Lonnie, like, he used your codes to access all this shit. So, you might as well have been a rebel for all the damage you did to us. And, get fucked.
Damn.
He literally tells her, get fucked. That's in the line. Ben
Hey,
Mendelsohn,
you
that's
bet.
in the script. Ben Mendelsohn says, he's like, get fucked.
He would say it.
He would.
I bet you money.
So you have this crazy fight sequence, this shootout with Andor and Clea and Melshi and K2SO all trying to escape from Coruscant, which they do.
Mm-hmm.
And they manage to get back to Yavin, but, Cassian gets sent to the timeout box for being naughty and having broken the rules. And Rebel leadership entirely dismissive of everything that Clea has to say, and it's like, you dumb motherfuckers better shut the hell up and listen, because this is the fucking truth, and nobody wants your fucking dumb skeptical asses right now.
Yeah.
Yep.
But Mon Mothma is the only one who is giving what Clea says any credence, and a couple of things go on that change everyone's mind. For example, there's a rebel informant from Saw's side who contacts them and says, hey, I'm only going to talk to Cassian. And they decide to let Cassian go to the Rings of Kafrene, which is where he is immediately at the beginning of Rogue One.
Mhm.
And after getting the critical intel from this guy, he smokes him.
Yeah.
Very much in the style of Luthen.
Yep.
We also see that Bix has gone back to Mina Rao, and she's got a baby, and it's obvious maybe that is. And that's the end of Arc 4 and of Andor.
Oh, bro.
Yeah, man. I love this bridge to Rogue One, man. The best part of this, of course, is Clea's arc, or Clea and Luthen's flashback arc throughout episode 10. It finally fleshes them out so late in the game, but I see the reason why. It actually felt like a Victory Gundam episode, because we finally got backstory on the character before they died.
Yes.
with Luthen.
That is definitely a tried and true Tamino method.
Yo, boy, for real. But it was apropos, man. The exchange with both Luthen and Clay at the very start, where he tells her to move, and they both have like sentimental looks in his eyes. They know that shit is about to go down today with what Lonnie has. And props to Robert Ems, the actor that played Lonnie Young, man. He had very little throughout the series, but the moments that he was able to have on screen, he did an incredible job with. The conversation between him and Luthen had me on the edge of my seat. We all knew what the subject was going to be, but the way he delivered it, man, had me on the edge. I've seen a bunch of compilation videos, like music videos that kind of like compile like certain subjects from Andor, and every time his voiceover comes on, it makes the hair on my arms stand on end. Just how he delivers the fact that they're building a super weapon. It's like, oh shit. But the fact that he's the unsung hero that passed the word along, who started this chain letter from one person all the way to the next, and there's a lot of people who had to pass this baton to lead to Luke blowing up the Death Star. It's kind of amazing. It starts with Lonnie. It's wild to me. And when Luthen said to him in season 1, I said, I think about you all the time, Lonnie. After seeing him get shot by Luthen, I think about Lonnie all the time, and how many other cats in history had shared the same fate. It makes you think, where a lot of victories came from information from the opposite side. It's kind of cool and sad at the same time. But Kalea's whole backstory, getting that and seeing that she, even as a child, had a sharp eye, and she adapted quickly to all the horrible shit that was happening around her. The fact that she stood there and watched that one kid and those other people get executed, and even though she flinched, she stood there and watched that shit because she wanted to take in exactly what she was up against. And that Luthen found a viable partner in this plan they had in order to finally take down the Empire, bit by bit, preparing her, with the fact that, we're not going to win every fight. We're going to lose most of our fights, but you got to hang in there until we actually can get a foothold and start doing damage to these motherfuckers. And that scene in Naboo was super important, where he has her, have the chance to hit that button to blow up those Imperial troops on the bridge, and he takes it away from her at the last second. At least he knew at that point, you're willing to do the work, and so he took the hit for her and did it. But I just love the steely gaze in her eyes anytime those two talk, and the fact that the actress Elizabeth Dulao had mentioned that their relationship between the two of them is one where it was founded in hate, but love grew around their relationship, and you can see that at the very end when she breaks into the hospital and starts making her way to his unconscious body in order to take him out, and the fact she takes a moment to realize what she's doing before she actually kills him, kisses him on the forehead, and it's like, man, this is a complicated scene, and and she pulled it off expertly. Props to Elizabeth Dulao. I loved her throughout this entire show, but this is definitely her moment throughout that, man. And the fact that she was like 360 no scoping motherfuckers, that shit was great. she was getting her golden eye on for real, man. That shit was so awesome. But it's one of the standout performers in this series, man. I would say MVP of this arc, to be quite honest with you. The fact that she may actually be one of the architects she may be the architect of your rebellion at the end of the day. She seemed to be more in charge than Luthen was behind the scenes, because even Luthen freaked out in the middle of the season, and she had to get him back in line. And I love that moment between them. A lot was done in this episode, and I really appreciate the fact that they defined the relationship with it. So that's cool, man. The next two episodes are just candy for me, man. Where Andor and Melshi and K2SO have have to come in and save her from or rescue her from Coruscant, and we finally get the banter between K2SO and the rest of the gang. It was so good to see him. Alan Tudyk hadn't missed a beat, man. He's so funny. But when they get there and have their conversation, and then K2SO has to come in and basically pull the Darth Vader in the hallway with these tag team stormtroopers. Call of Duty soap and the gang getting fucked up by K2SO was
Using Hurt as a meat shield.
dude. It was
Oh my God, that was awesome.
I didn't know they would take it that far, but yes, yes.
But also like
Ooh.
we're introduced to K2SO in Rogue One. Obviously, he's already been reprogrammed and working for the Rebellion. But like, I wanted to mention when we saw all of these KX droids on Gorman during the massacre, they're just walking around like smacking people with like such incredible force of like insta kills, and they just like it's like they don't even need blasters because just walking around smacking people and launching them into the air, and like you hear those crunches like when they land on the ground, and it's like, Jesus, that is a bad way to go.
Yeah, and they confirmed. Lucasfilm confirmed that the droid that looked at Cyril when he walked in the room where all the KX droids were, that was K2SO. The droid that killed the daughter of Rylance, that was K2SO. And of course, when the droid that was chasing after Andor, of course, was K2SO as well. But because of the markings on him, you can tell that it's actually him. So that's kind of wild that he did all that damage before he got reprogrammed. That to me is scary stuff. And then of course he gets weaponized to take out these Call of Duty stormtroopers. I'm sorry, Soap Man, you had to go. But this is a compelling scene. Watching that extraction and rescue, man, it was fantastic. But the build up to Rogue One was smooth, man. I wasn't sure if they were going to be able to pull it off, but lo and behold, they did, man. And it was a fantastic thing to witness, man. That ending, though. I know not a lot of people. I would say not a lot of people, but I know Neo. I remember him telling me that he didn't think it was the greatest ending of all time, like people made it out to be, and I didn't either. But I love the fact that we get to see Bix one last time with what they confirmed as Cassian's son. I thought that was a nice. It adds more emotion to Rogue One when you see both Cassian and Jyn on the beach, waiting to be destroyed by the Death Star explosion. But the fact that that in some way Cassian will live on. I do have something to point out about Bix, though. I do hate the fact that she's kind of marginalized after she leaves, and I was hoping that she'd have more to do in the second half of the series. But I love the fact that she lived, so it's kind of a trade. She got to live,
but what can you have her do in such a limited time? And then it's about Cassian, and it's about the lead up to Rogue One. I mean,
she had to go. She had to go. And that's ultimately what happened.
Right.
And I love the fact that they didn't kill her is a miracle. So I do like that. I wish that may have found an earlier time to have her do more, but it's okay because she's gonna still be around, and maybe she'll pop up in something later. So who knows? Maybe she never will. But the fact that she and Cassian end up having a kid, I thought was a nice touch at the end. But there's a lot more I can say. I'm gonna let y'all take over. But I thought this was great. I also watched Rogue One after this immediately, and the movie hits a lot harder now after seeing Andor. It's fantastic, man. Especially the ending. It goes a lot. The series did so much more for that movie than I thought it would. But back to you guys.
Chris?
Well, I too, immediately after watching this last arc, went and watched one again, and it definitely does all tie together very well, and it does make Rogue One hit differently, having all this additional context about Andor and who he is. One thing I will note. My wife was not a fan of the final episode because she felt it was kind of anticlimactic, and even though recognizes that it's a prequel to Rogue One, she had the comment that it should have stood apart a bit more as an ending to its own to itself than just directly leading to Rogue One. Does that make sense?
I kind of feel the same way. That's where when people were saying it was, before I saw the ending, and I kind of heard like reactions to it that it was like one of the greatest endings to a show ever. And I didn't feel that way because I feel it's the same way, but it's not bad. It's not. I think
It's a good ending, but like I get what she's saying because it's like after all this, Cassian's like last thing you're gonna see. It's like, oh, I'm gonna go talk to this guy. It's like,
right.
okay, that's it. Like that's like nothing is wrapped up as far as Andor the series.
Yeah.
That then continues in Rogue One. Like it's deliberately left hanging. So.
Like the true ending to Andor the series is the movie.
Rogue One.
Yeah, because that's where I was kind of feeling with it too. Is like, I will say this: I think there's no better way that I've seen tying like something that was created previously as a prequel with than what happened here. I think they did it.
Yeah. Well, I made the comment to her of this is a perfect example of when you make a prequel to something, the prequel should match the thing that came before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I get that.
George Lucas.
Yeah.
Sorry.
He definitely did not learn that lesson.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and that's the thing. I think, and that's where I'm torn on it. I think it is the best example of doing a prequel to something that was made before, but I do still feel in some ways it could have, even if they did it where it was the ending, and then maybe they do the after credit scene of him going to the rings.
Mm-hmm.
That might have been that could have been that might have actually satisfied. But I think what your wife told me, what she said to you, is kind of what I was feeling. Where it's like it still didn't really wrap up the series, but it does, and I get it. In the end, the wrap up is Rogue One.
I mean, after there is a lot of closure for some stuff, but it kind of feels then that the last maybe half of the final episode is just kind of running out the clock for Rogue One, rather than like tying off storylines and having the series stand apart from the movie as its own thing.
And that's where I was like, when I saw these things of like, oh, it's the greatest ever. And I was like, okay, maybe I'm just not feeling it here. Maybe I'm missing something. But the way that she described it, it perfectly encapsulates what I was trying to feel myself, or trying to like just articulate, because not saying it's bad. Not saying it's bad.
No, it's not bad. It's good, and it does the job it's supposed to of tying into Rogue One, but it's just like how it came together at the very end. I wasn't disappointed, but I totally understand the criticism of that. It's just a little anticlimactic.
Yeah, it's a double-edged sword. I'm with you on that. I mean, jumping right into Rogue One, I didn't feel that immediately, but looking back and encapsulating the series onto itself, yeah, it can definitely. It's a very soft ending versus what it would be if you consider Rogue One the final episode of Andor, then you're fine. But if you are looking at Andor as a series unto itself, yeah, it can be a bit it falls a bit short with that soft ending. But
yeah, you kind of have to consider Rogue One to be like the fifth arc of season 2.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Hell, you can look at episode 4 as the close of that story too. Once you get past that, because that it takes you all the way to the end of the destruction of the Death Star. But yeah.
And once again, the way that they were able to do it, I haven't seen many examples of this working, or really any examples of this ever really working. Mm-hmm. Where you have such an established movie or TV show that had such a following, and there's such a lag. I mean, Rogue One was masterful the way that they tied it into A New Hope, but the fact that and this kind of work too. But it's a weird kind of like I'm happy, but it's like I wish there was just and I just feel to me, if they would have just done that as him as a post credit scene, that to me would have made I would have been like, oh, okay, that's cool. But it's what we got, and it's still cool. I
It's
still think
fine.
it works.
It's good, but I wonder how differently I would feel about the ending of Andor if I hadn't immediately watched Rogue One.
Yeah, that's a good observation. I wonder how it would have felt as well.
Yeah,
If you just stop Andor at the end of episode 12, and then it's like, oh, okay, that's it. He's just gonna go talk to some guy. Like, all right, like that. I think that probably makes the feeling more apparent of like, yeah, this just kind of trails off.
yeah, and and I think the whole Bix thing with the baby that was good, and once again I think it still shows that it's I think if she would have stayed around or she did something on the side, that would have been the cliche too, just like the whole thing of like Cyril getting the thing of redemption. It's like she believed in the cause, but she wasn't believing in the cause for how they were going to do it, and then her life changes because now she has another life that she has to take care of, and she does. I mean, I think in the end that's one of the best things about the show is they kind of, especially this season, is they kind of kill a lot of the Star Wars cliches of the characters that we're so used to seeing, and that's what made it refreshing to me. So
I think it, and this is not a huge thing, but like it's a little disappointing that in the second season that two of the characters that kind of get sidelined by the show, Bix and Cinta, are both women, and no man really gets that treatment. Like all these other male characters get to complete their arcs.
Yeah.
But then these two women get, the short end of the stick.
And you can even go more so where it's like, okay, they one of them, just because, well, women, some people believe that women's only role is to procreate and have children. So I get where you're on that too, because it's as much as it is advanced stuff, some of the gender roles, it's not as progressive as we've seen with other like shows, even sci-fi. Seeing women.
I don't think that these choices are made like deliberately to be leaning into.
Yeah, I don't think
misogyny
so.
and whatnot.
Yeah.
It's just a consequence of having so many moving pieces and casting such a wide net with this one season covering 4 years. So, when you have just that limited amount of screen time to work with, like some people are just going to get left behind. It's just unfortunate that in this case it happened to be two women.
Yeah.
True.
I mean, but at least we got to see the development of Mon Mothma into the rebel leader she became, and really seeing why everybody was so devoted to her within the rebellion when we see her in the in the episode 4 and on. So I mean,
although shout out to Genevieve O'Reilly, because what a journey for her and this character across 20 years,
brother.
Playing a very young Mon Mothma in episode 3. In a bunch of scenes that were deleted because I don't know why they did this. There was this whole subplot where Padme is trying to convince all these senators to vote to rescind Palpatine's emergency powers because she feels that he's overstepped them. One of those young senators, Mon Mothma.
Wow.
And that one little subplot would have addressed one of my but criticisms of episode 3 that I've had from the beginning, which is that Padme went from being this important character, this queen, this senator, to literally just a baby factory who is just there to deliver Luke and Leia at the end and then just die once she served her purpose. But then that little subplot showed she still was the senator and she was still working and she was still trying to make a difference, and ties it with Mon Mothma. All that gets cut, so Mon Mothma's appearance in episode 3 basically is a glorified silent cameo. And I'm sure
Neil?
No, I was just gonna say that's a shame because
it could have been a shame if that's where things had been left.
Yeah.
At least in terms
Yeah,
of
I
Mon
mean,
Mothma.
no, but I'm saying it's a shame that they weren't able to at least like put, I don't know, a minute or two of Padme trying to do that. I mean, do you even need
that would
that
have
much?
definitely,
I mean,
you could have had some less awful dialogue with Anakin somewhere.
I hate you.
You could have trimmed some dumb thing that Anakin said and squeezed this scene in, which would have done a lot of good for Padme's arc. But yeah, what a crazy journey that Mon Mothma's part got cut down to practically nothing, but then 11 years later, they chose to bring Genevieve O'Reilly back to play the character in Rogue One and tie her back to the start of the original trilogy. And then over the years she's come back multiple times, voicing Mon Mothma in various episodes of Rebels, and then showing up both in Andor and Ahsoka,
Yes.
which takes her to after the original trilogy, where she's the Chancellor of the New Republic. So what an incredible evolution for a character who had just one small scene in Return of the Jedi, but is such an important part of the rebellion.
Yep.
And notably,
Definitely.
one of the few speaking female roles in the original trilogy.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Which if you told it up by lines, the female roles in the original trilogy are almost entirely limited to Leia, Aunt Beru, and Mon Mothma.
That's right.
Yep.
That's crazy.
The other women that you see have just maybe one line of dialogue here, and they're just not important. They're not there. It's the original trilogy is
Window
very
dressing.
throw forward.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Well,
And I
it's of a
think
different
Rogue
time
One-
too. I mean,
Yeah. But I thank
Yeah,
Rogue
I mean-
One and Andor and all these other things for inserting all of these female leaders and female X-Wing pilots and really kind of de-broing it a little bit from where it was in the OT.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well,
you guys,
anything else?
I just got 3 quick things I wanted to point out. Props to Forrest Whitaker, man. He really brought it in the 2 episodes of the show that he was in. Love this performance. It reminded me a lot of yes. It reminded me a lot of his performance in Last King of Scotland. That character in Last King of Scotland, based on a real figure, reminds me a lot of Saw Gerrera as well. The way they behave and how their interactions with the young mentor, the young person they were mentoring, was in both those stories. And also big props to Muhammad Bayer, who played Wilman Pack. He was fantastic, man. I didn't expect him to have such a big role in this season because he had just shown up in bits and pieces in season 1 to get a expanded role in season 2. He really rocked it. He's a young man. He's incidentally he's a huge player of Star Wars Battlefront at Part 2, and he's been saying on in the press that they need to make a Battlefront 3. Ironically, Battlefront 2 has gotten a resurgence of players because of this show and several other things. So it's kind of cool to see, man. But those 2 things, and my last thing to point out is there's a obscure Rebels character that shows up in this show, and I know that Chris may have mentioned it in his recap, but Erskine Samaj, they found an actor that looks just like the character in Rebels. Because I went back and watched that episode where they rescue Mon Mothma from Coruscant, the Ghost Crew, and looking at the character Erskine in that show, I was like, yo, the actor they found to play him is so amazing. It's fantastic, dude. how close they got it. And he was really cool as a character. They really fleshed him out. We didn't really get to know much about him in Rebels, but in this series, he played a much bigger role. So that was mad cool. But that's all I've got left.
Chris, anything else?
I would say, especially for this last arc, shout out to Melshi.
Yes.
He's kind of a glup shitto. He was just this guy in Rogue One who, was there for a little bit and then he died with everybody else. And Andor really went out of its way to just have him be this constant presence and showing that he was involved in lots of things.
Yeah. He was holding it down in Rogue One. I just never noticed him in Rogue One, but after seeing him in this show, it gave me a lot more investment in the character, and I noticed he was leading a lot of the troops on the beaches of Scarif in Rogue One.
Then when he died, it's like oh, there he goes.
I felt it. Oh, also a cool Easter egg is Andor, I guess, loses his gun that he got it from his dad on Coruscant in the third arc, and ends up having to use Bix's gun. He has to use Bix's gun, which is the gun he has in Rogue One. You actually see him put it in his holster right before he leaves Yavin. But the gun that Bix used all throughout the series is the gun he has in Rogue One. So that's super cool that they retroactively did that too.
Cool.
And that's it. I'm finished.
All right. So I guess what do you want to do? I know we'll do ratings on season 2, but do you want to do an overall of the show? Because this is it. There's no more Andor. So there is season 3. That's Rogue One. But yeah, it's but what do you want to do? You just want to do just season 2 ratings,
do 2 ratings
or overall?
Yeah, absolutely.
What do you think, Chris? What are you in the mood for?
Let's just do a season 2 rating.
All right, shit.
There we go. All right. So, Solbro, what is your season 2 rating of Andor season 2?
Man, this is damn near one of the finest prequels I've ever watched. It's up there with Better Call Saul. I would say, with a lot of attention to care like that series had, consistent and bridges from the beginning of one side of the story all the way up to the series or the movie that it needs to connect to. I don't know how they did it, but they did an incredible job. As for me, I would give this I'll give this 4.5 B2 emos out of 5. Good to see he survived, man. Love that guy. 4.5.
Chris.
I'm going to give this 4.5 who are yous out of 5.
Critics said that to Jin also in Rogue One. I got a laugh out of that when Jin confronts Krennic right at the satellite dish at the end of the movie. Who are you? And she fucking tells him who she is. It's like, yo, man, that's a nice echo back to Andor. Good shit.
Well, it started off a little shaky at the beginning, a little slow, little different than what we were used to, but the way that it was kind of brought together, and I did like when I had heard about it at the beginning, the year arc, the storyline in each year going up to to Rogue One. I didn't know how that was going to work, and it actually ended up working very, very well. So I'm gonna have to give it 4.5 Saul's gas bottles out of 5. Because gas is life, gas is good, gas is my sister. So
breathe in the rhino, dude.
Breathe it in.
Let it run wild.
So,
yes.
Any last thoughts, Chris, on Rogue or on Andor?
I would say, if you're gonna watch season 2, make it up such that you can watch the last arc and then immediately follow it with Rogue One and have that be your shot and your chaser.
Yeah, I probably need to do that. I'm the only one that didn't do that. So I probably should have did it, and it kind of did enter my mind. But I think when I watched the last episode, it was pretty late, and I was like, oh, okay.
I was late for me too, but I was like, you know what? Fuck this. We're gonna watch this movie.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
That's how we felt.
Yeah.
I don't care that I have work in the
some,
morning. We're watching this fucking movie.
I was in the mood, son. I had to do it.
Exactly.
Yeah, I will probably go back and do that in the future because I'm sure it does. Definitely, I could see where it does definitely give you a new appreciation of that.
I would say it's similar to the effect of if you go and you watch Revenge of the Sith, and then you watch the final arc of Clone Wars, which takes place concurrently to Revenge of the Sith, and obviously there's not really any kind of way to watch them intercut, but if you watch Revenge of the Sith and then you watch the final arc of Clone Wars, seeing them paired in tandem makes Revenge of the Sith have better context for stuff that's going on and kind of lifts it up a bit.
Yeah. So
I agree.
So, bro, any thoughts on Andor?
It's an excellent watch, man. If you put it off, if you've never seen any of Star Wars, which is a rare, that's a rare person nowadays, or you just not into Star Wars, don't
not
have
as
to
rare
be...
as you think.
Oh yeah, shit.
I've encountered in the last few years a bunch of people who are aware of what Star Wars is, but have never seen. These are not old people. These are like millennials and Gen Z. So it is not as rare a thing as you think.
Well, shit. All I can say is that you don't really have to have much foreknowledge of Star Wars to watch this show at all. If you like prestige television, if you liked Chernobyl, this has kind of got some of the same vibe. But if you like watching HBO dramas, this is the show for you. Dive in, man. It's got a deliberate pace, but it definitely pays off the more you stick with it, and it gets faster and the momentum builds. It's excellent TV. It's well produced and fantastic. Seasons 1 and 2 are great, and then just jump right into Rogue One to finish off the story. If you want to watch more, by all means, keep on going. But definitely hope you enjoy it, and one of the best things I've seen this year. It got submitted for 28 Emmys, so it makes me wonder how much it'll walk away with, or because it's genre, maybe it'll walk away with none of it. Who knows? But I look forward to seeing the nominations when those Emmy nominations drop soon.
Cool. Yeah, the only thing I'm going to say on this, and I think we've mentioned it too, is I think what it really does for me, and I think what it really does for the Star Wars story as a whole, is it introduces that gray, and it really shows. I think it really does change your impressions of going into the Lucas films. You know, the original trilogy, going into that, and it makes more context of like, okay, you know, yes, the Empire is really evil, and you know, but why is everybody so scared of them? And then, you know, the fact that the rebellion, you know, it's like, okay, they were a mishmash of people with their own agendas in a lot of ways. The fact that they were even able to do this is amazing. But then you see the rampant incompetence of the Empire. So it's just, I just think it really accents it, and I think in some ways it helps it out. Does it do anything for future Star Wars? I don't know, and I don't know if you just do something the same in the vein of this. I don't know if that's necessarily going to work. I mean, I don't know. I mean, the only thing I could get is maybe you get the Buddy Rebel movie of Baby Andor with Baby Kanan. Maybe they team up. And
no, man, you get the buddy movie of Andor and the Mandalorian, and you call it Mandor. There you go. I pulled the Yazzie. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's okay, but really bad. Okay, but yeah, I think it's good for Star Wars, but I don't know if it gets it out of its funk. So that I guess that will remain to be seen.
It's changed the landscape for sure, man. People are like talking about, because there's a people are speculating who's gonna take over Lucasfilm next. Although I'll believe it when I see it. But people are like questioning certain people at Lucasfilm now if they can write compelling material like this and all that stuff. And I feel bad for some of the people who are waiting in the wings, but at the same time, they do need to step it up. And this has definitely set a new bar for Star Wars, man. I don't want to see everything like Andor, because I think Andor is one of a kind and we'll never see anything of its like again. But if it does help to raise the bar when it comes to story content and dialogue, I think that's a cool outcome to this show's existence, man. And yeah, it's I hope that I hope it does make things better overall for future projects.
Cool. So that's it. That's our review of season 2 of Andor. Chris, you got anything, any MAHQ things before we turn it over to Solbro, where the people can find out where to reach us?
We got some new stuff coming soon, so I'll just cryptically leave it at that.
Ooh. New stuff coming soon.
Yes.
What a salesman. Damn it. I'm
You're
on
hooked,
the
aren't
edge of
you?
my seat.
Well, you want
I
to know.
actually literally am on the edge of my seat. But all right. Well, Solbro, you want to let the people know where they can find us?
Yeah, man, absolutely, man. Make sure you visit mahq.net. That's the Mecha Anime headquarters. You can go there and read reviews of the latest animes. G-Cux is popping right now, guys, and we'll soon be reviewing it on the show, so stay tuned for that. But if anything, you can go there and read the latest reviews of G-Cux, see the line art for G-Cux and some other, many other Gundam series and Mecha series in general, and read up on the tech specs of all those units and mobile suits and stuff, man. It's a great resource, man. Go there. Also support the website. If you scroll down on the main page there, you can go to support MAHQ either one time or monthly by way of Ko-fi. Is it Ko-fi? It's Ko-fi, right? Yeah, Ko-fi. Yes. And yeah, you can donate $5 or whatever you like, man. Make sure to support the channel, man. And thank you very much. Support the website as well. And speaking of supporting the channel, you can support me over on Fighters Ready as well. I might be streaming tomorrow, so be on the lookout for that. But also on youtube.com/MAHQDOTNET, we also simultaneously stream there too. Hit the follow button there if you like what you see and you want to run back some of the previous episodes as well. And also follow us on social media at MAHQDOTNET, whether it be on Blue Sky, Facebook, our groups on Facebook are those are like the main two you can follow us under. And also mechatalk.net. That's the official forums for MAHQ. Go there and join the conversation. That's it for me.
So, Chris, I mean, your Mecha MAHQ's got all types of Mecha on it. I have a friend of mine that was asking about, do you have Zoids? Would we be able to find Zoids on MAHQ?
Tell him to go fuck himself.
Got him.
Oh, damn it. Damn it, I tried.
Tell him to get
I
fucked.
tried, Palpy. Oh, I shouldn't have said that.
Oops.
But I'm the #1 Zoids fan.
Yes, he would be, right?
That's the kind of person who would be a fan. Yeah, apparently.
It would be. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. So, but thank you everybody for joining us. We'll be back in a few weeks with episode 316.